Adam Taxin here, Little Rock, Arkansas. Guess where I am? The Clinton Presidential Library and Massage Parlor, as Rush Limbaugh calls it. And that over there is the Clinton School for Public Service or something like that, whatever it's called. I did not intend to do my sunset report from here. Oh, I gotta, hold on, take off this navigation guidance. Riverwalk, Arkansas is not just about the Clintons. I think a lot of Arkansans can't stand it, but the fact of the matter is it's not far after rush hour and the traffic was bad and it looked like it was going to rain, so there's no sunset. I started it a little bit before sunset, which would be around 6:12 Central Time. I'll show you this, but let's talk about some of the stories going on today. Enough of me. They're doing something related to the Beatles up there. We remember Paul McCartney during the Obama administration kissed Obama's ass and talked about how stupid George W. Bush was before him. So I guess that's appropriate to have here, though nothing against Ringo, John, and George politically. That is the Clinton School of Public Service. If the wind is too much or the sound is off, please let me know. I am really just going to treat this like any other sunset report and talk about what's going on. This is the parking lot. I don't want to go too close to the place and like as if it's an endorsement, but isn't it fun to be here when I didn't even intend to be, like 20 minutes ago, on the night that President Trump, not President Hillary Clinton, is giving his quasi State of the Union address. I'll keep walking. So let me start off with something light. Antonio Branco, Lee Chang, I saw you joined. I mentioned you this morning in my sunrise report. I can't remember why exactly, but you're definitely in there. Something funny or clever you said. There's a park nearby here. And Antonio Branco, you should see his cartoons. They're comically incorrect. He's one of my go-to guys for cartoons, along with Mike Lester, with the guy who is called Stilton Jarlsberg, and Michael Ramirez and Glenn McCoy in particular. He had a good one today, look it up, but it's about all the trash that was left behind at the North Dakota, protest site where people were for weeks. And great point made by Ari Groyce. I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's married to a friend of mine, and she pointed out that Antonio had a great cartoon, but he left something out. He left out the puppies that apparently were left behind by some of the leftist protesters. They brought dogs, some had puppies for a while, and just left them there. And North Dakota is not Florida in the winter. Let's just put it that way. I imagine if they're St. Bernard puppies, they might have liked it from what I know. You can see downtown Little Rock, very close to here, and we're not going to get much of a sunset. I have been here once before, and I did the tour of various Bill Clinton scandal sites, like Paula Jones. That is the Excelsior Hotel, where he had his incident with Juanita Broaddrick. Some other places where he had his incident with Kathleen Willey. I also went a few miles out of the way to the country club where he played, the segregationist country club where he played. They didn't allow any black members, but Bill Clinton played there, and then when it was politically not feasible anymore, after he had earned all the points and played all the golf he wanted to, then he resigned out of principle. So I have stopped by there. Okay, let's talk about some of the other things going on. Whoever's calling me right now, I do this just from my phone. It's amazing what technology makes possible, to put it mildly. But I want to talk about I didn't bring my tripod here. Stories going on. First of all, just a point by Kennedy McGovern, who I like his stuff. He pointed out, whoops, bad habit of mine. He had a point about Jorge Ramos, who was in the news recently. He said, Jorge Ramos, he is an anchor man at Univision who coincidentally shares a name with the bad guy in the Tom Clancy book I am reading. Clancy never wrote anything without reason, so I can't wait to find out what is there. In any case, he states, this is Jorge Ramos on Univision, he states, America is our country, not theirs. I don't jump to conclusions, so I read the article to find out how he has defined the terms. Sadly, he has it all wrong. Had I found that his we was American citizens of Latino ethnicity or otherwise, and his they was illegal immigrants, also without regard to ethnicity, then I was prepared to take his side and state that he is right. Sadly, he is another libtard hack who has a serious impediment regarding the ability to define terms. Why is it that all libtards, even those being stupid in Spanish, have such difficulty with simple definitions? Is it because those convoluted logic trains that libtards build to convince themselves that we were always at war with Eurasia, that's a reference to George Orwell's 1984, have actually started making sense of them? No, Senor Ramos. This country does not belong to anyone from any corner of the planet who is not a citizen of this country. Non-citizens who are here legally are guests. Non-citizens who are here illegally are criminals. Lest we all be allowed to use your failed logic. In that case, your house belongs to me. Walk around a little bit more here at the residential library and massage parlor. Go a little closer, and we'll even see the river area. Anyway, a little bit more. Not much going on here today. So it is just, what is it, Monday? No, Tuesday. No real reason there'd be a lot of tourism in Little Rock right now. Okay, let me now get to the main thing, which is Trump's speech. It's not technically a State of the Union. It is a budget-related speech, but here is what was written. I'm going to get to Giovanni Baricelli, who wrote something a little longer there, but here is something that Kenneth Hill, who I use a lot of stuff from, wrote. He wrote to me for this. Yes, I am wondering just how insanely stupid the Democrats will act tonight when Trump speaks before the joint session. Will they start shouting and interrupting him? The insanity will be a national embarrassment. It will look like the British House of Commons with the act that they are planning. And Rosie is holding her million-pound march in front of the White House as well. Now I want to get to something longer and more comprehensive here from Giovanni Baricelli, who now has a blog, which I recommend. It's thepunchnews.blogspot.com. Let me get comfortable with this. It is long, and I'm not using my tripod, I'm holding it. Okay, he has something called What to Expect from President Trump at First State of the Union Address. Today, and I'm reading the whole thing unless I skip something, and I have permission to do that. Today, President Trump is going to address Congress at his very first State of the Union address. Well, it's sort of a State of the Union. In an interview with Fox News, Fox and Friends, he personally gave himself a C+ letter grade for being able to deliver a message. They in turn asked him, how does he plan on bettering that message? President Trump replied that tonight's address would be a good way to deliver the message. What he shouldn't do at the State of the Union address. He should stay away from directly naming those that oppose him. In other words, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, John Lewis, Dianne Feinstein, etc. This would be easy, but this would be neither the time nor the place to do that. Trump should stay away from too much of the mainstream media blame game. I do believe he will go after the media a bit, but don't make it a central focus of the message you give today. What he should do at the State of the Union address, talk about his plans by being as specific as you can on the things that really need to be done for 2017. Tax reform, Obamacare reform should be at the top of that list. This is going to be the single most watched State of the Union address ever, or I guess State of the Union equivalent ever. This is a time for him to, 1, settle his strong supporters, 2, sway the moderates, independents, and strong conservatives that didn't vote for him. For him to do this, he'll need to lay off the snide jokes and stick to that teleprompter as much as possible. Deliver the message and let it resonate with the people. Ron Corey, you messaged to me that you're losing me. Am I okay right now? Is anyone listening that can tell me that everything's fine? Continuing with what Giovanni Baricelli says, what I believe President Trump will hit upon during this speech, media dishonesty. I don't think he'll be able to help himself. Whenever he feels he has the free opportunity to attack back at the media, he does so. Secondly, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. He will talk about repeal and replace of Obamacare and how soon it is going to go into effect and how to settle the nerves of those that have Obamacare and are worried about losing money. During this topic, he will touch upon the fact that the ACA doesn't work. He will talk about March or April's plan for the congressional repeal and replace. He will speak about how some states, for example, Arizona have hikes in their plan by 116%. He mentions this every time. He will touch upon the fact that he wishes to replace the bill at the same time. Third, he should talk about, how did he define it? He will hit upon, according to Giovanni Baricelli, tax reform. He will talk about how he plans to have a tax reform bill before August 2017. He will mention business taxes to be cut down to 15 to 20%. He will speak of the restrictions and regulations that have choked the American economy. He will mention NAFTA and how that was the worst bill signed in the history of the world. He can't help himself. He will speak about how he closed the doors permanently on TPP. 4, putting people back to work. Oh, you bet. He'll mention Ford, Fiat Chrysler, Carrier, etc., and how he has spoken to leaders in big businesses, small businesses, and how he has signed executive orders to change the restrictions and regulations that were hindering companies from wanting to stay in the U.S. He will say he has created thousands of jobs already, by the way, all true, but he is going to point it out. 5, protection of our police. He will speak of this. This was a campaign promise, so I expect him to touch on this as well. He will mention the fight against crime, and he may even mention the horrific things going on in Chicago. Look what's going on in Chicago, or something of that sort. 6, helping out the Veterans Administration. He may name David Shulkin is he may name him specifically as the new director of the VA and how he expects much reform. 7, education. He will talk about how unfairly the Democratic senators treated Betsy DeVos. He will talk about eliminating Common Core and bringing educational local. Just a few more. 8, he will speak about making our border safe. He will obviously talk about the wall and how it is ready to be sent out for bidding, and he expects to be starting the wall within a month or 2. He will speak about illegal immigration. He obviously will bring up the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and their bad decision. He will mention that Secretary Kelly, Betty calls him General Kelly, and the wonderful job who he is doing. This mention will tie into mentioning the meeting with Mexico and segue into Rex Tillerson as the Secretary of State. He will mention the travel ban and will not tie it in with next week's new executive order, but he will mention that they are, quote, separate. Whether they really are separate or not is not the point. But he wants the appearance that they are separate. Why? He does plan on fighting that executive order once Judge Gorsuch gets into the Supreme Court. 9, I just mentioned it. He will mention the conservative, in quotes, appointee of Justice Gorsuch. He will mention how he is so well liked and he has no doubt that Justice Gorsuch will be approved. We all know it is going to go through hell with the Democrats and most likely will have to be approved by means of the nuclear code. A code that moved the vote from 60 votes to 51. A big thank you to Harry Reid. The nuclear code will not be mentioned. I just want to mention my disagreement. I'm sort of with Rush Limbaugh on that one, in the sense that I think they're going to wait for the next nominee to really go to war. I think this one, remember, it's replacing Scalia. They're going to let go and save the battle because they're going to lose anyhow. 10, guns. He will mention the Second Amendment. He may even mention the ridiculous court decision last week by the 4th District Court of Appeals. We shall see. 11, he will speak about Secretary Mattis. He has his name down right, but he still calls Secretary Kelly General Kelly. He will talk about how he plans on destroying ISIS. It will be done swiftly and quickly, and we will, quote, knock out radical Islamic terrorism, the hell out of our country. I am paraphrasing, that's what Giovanni writes, but I bet it's pretty close to reality. And then, last part here. What he mentions besides these things, and most importantly, how he delivers the message, will be important tonight. Does he go after Democrats hard? Does he go after the mainstream media hard? Or does he lay back a bit? The stage is his. We are merely the players. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time will be a historic event no matter what. Why? Because President Trump has now demanded and commanded it. So whether or not we will agree with his speech 100%, the mainstream media, including the New York Times and Washington Post, among others, their heads will literally explode. He is going to say something to tick them off. What is it? That is the reason we are all going to watch tonight. He has not only forced us to strengthen our knowledge of our country's civics, he has woken us up to the media and the way they cover him as well. We literally cannot get enough of him. There is coverage of President Trump 24/7, literally all day, all the time. So let's tune in for what is going to be He had a good last line here. I don't want to screw it up. So let's tune in for what is going to be most certainly the greatest show on earth. All right. Adam Taxin here, and almost by accident because of traffic and the clouds coming out, here at the William J. Clinton Presidential Library, the only presidential library for a Clinton there will be anytime soon. Enjoy President Trump's speech tonight.